Hello and Happy New Year to all you fellow nerds, geeks, and supporters of indie pop culture creators. Aaron Nabus here, and thank you so much for tuning in to the Hall H Show. Joining me on this episode is HallH.com co-founder Alex Benedicto and our good friend, back for the 30th time or maybe the 40th time, is Keithan Jones, the owner of Keithan Jones, creator of the Power Nights, and the founder of Black Comix Day. It's been a while since we've had Keithan on. I think it was maybe episode 53 back in 2019. Obviously, a lot has happened since then, so I'm looking forward to catching up with Keithan and sort of recapping 2022, and also looking forward to what lies ahead for each of us in 2023. Welcome back to the Hall H Show, Keithan.
Hey, thanks for having me back. Been a minute, but I'm always feel welcome.
Yeah, man. I mean, you're like one of our first guests. Also, and episode 2 was your first time on the show.
I think you guys are actually. I'm thinking you might have been my very first podcast interview ever since I started the company. I'm pretty sure you were. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you were. So you guys were kind of there from the beginning. 2016,
about right?
Yeah.
Nice. Well, welcome back to the show. I guess to get warmed up, we'll do a thunder round, which is something that we normally do in the middle of a podcast. But since you've been a guest on here before, we don't have to go through your origin story. But since the Kid Comics motto is "the kid in you never dies," what's one childhood memory that makes you happy? And I guess this will be a roundtable discussion, so we'll all answer these questions. But Keith will go first, and then Alex will go next.
A childhood memory that makes me happy.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's a tough one. Childhood memory. Just anything.
Anything. I mean, you can recount how Star Wars made an effect on you if you want. I mean, because I know that's important to you.
Yeah, that pertains to my art. I think just the days of staying with my when I used to live with my grandparents back when I was living in Memphis, and every weekend I look forward to all my cousins coming over because that was our routine. Every weekend, all of my cousins, who were / my best friends, would come over to my grandfather's house where I was living at the time, and we just do what kids do, build forts and play hide and seek, and he lived on a farm, so we had a lot of space to just run free. Mm-hmm. And so I always think about those days because I didn't get a chance to actually grow up with them because my dad was in the Navy, so we ended up out here in San Diego. So I missed a lot of their formative years because I was separated from them. So those are my memories.
Alex?
Question?
Oh, it's what's one childhood memory that makes you happy?
I think it's probably Christmas time. Just walking, my room was upstairs, then just coming down the stairs and just seeing all the presents by the Christmas tree.
Yes,
it's always a memorable neat experience.
For me, one of my earliest memories was when I was 3 years old. My dad was stationed in the Philippines for about a year. And so we were there for about the same amount of time. And so I gravitated toward, both sets of my grandparents, my dad's parents and my mom's parents. And I remember on my mom's side, helping my grandpa feed his animals out in the pasture. So I remember the feeling of the cows licking the sugar off my hand.
Oh, wow.
So, and then, we're drinking sodas while we're, working out in the field.
Did you say this was in the Philippines?
It was in the Philippines.
Oh,
yeah.
Were you born in the
No, I wasn't born in the Philippines. I was born in Hawaii.
Oh, okay.
But we, as a military brat, you move around a lot.
Right.
So, but luckily it's all been warm places. We were I was born in Hawaii, then came to San Diego. It's kind of funny because we went up and down with San Diego, Long Beach, and back to San Diego, then to
Are there a lot of Japanese people in Hawaii at that time too?
I don't remember. I was born there. We left when I was a year old.
Oh, okay.
So I have no memories of my first time in Hawaii.
Yeah, I asked because the one time I did visit Hawaii for my wife's sister's wedding, I was struck by how many Japanese people were there, and there were so many Japanese people there, and that the signage, just like in California, you have, if you go to an ATM machine, you have English and Spanish options. There it was English and Japanese.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, wow, because I barely saw any actual native Hawaiians there. It was mostly Japanese people. So I didn't expect to see that when I got there.
I guess a lot of them came during to work the plantations, like in early 1900s.
Yeah,
I guess.
Same with the Filipinos.
Yeah.
A lot of Filipinos went to Hawaii.
There's a large Filipino community in Hawaii as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same reason to work the plantations.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Long Beach. I think that was about 3 years old, and then we ended up going to the Philippines for almost a year. I was like between 3 and 4 years old. So I still have memories from that. And then I remember my grandma on my dad's side, they had a farm as well, and they grew all these vegetables. And I remember one time she was making strawberry jam. So I still remember the smell. And like she was cooking the jam in the kitchen stove. So yeah, those are memories I'll never forget. I mean, those are happy memories, but I remember there was another memory that wasn't happy. My grandma on my mom's side, she was cooking dinner, and she killed a chicken right in front of me.
Oh, dude. Yeah. I had a similar situation like that where being in the South, and being on the farm, you have pigs and chickens and all the other stuff going on there. And I think it was, I don't know what holiday, I think Thanksgiving, 4th of July, maybe they were cooking a pig.
Oh, wow.
And goat this time, a goat, right? But we actually went to the place to get the goat. So me and my cousins were in the back of the pickup truck. We went to get this goat. We put him in the back of the truck with us, and he's kind of like becoming our pet. And then we get back to the house, and they're like, "Okay, time to kill the goat." and so I was like, "Oh man, how do I stop this?" And I'm a little kid, and I'm trying to figure out how to stop this. So I come up with a scheme. I said, "Oh, I'll do it. Give me the knife," because they're gonna cut the throat and put him in this hot tub or this scalding hot water to burn off the hair. Okay. So they gave, "You sure you want to do this, boy?" And they're like, "Yeah, I'll do it." And they gave me the knife, and I chucked it into the forest. And I remember my grandfather, "Boy, what did you do that for?" But that was the extent of me trying to save it. But he did taste good at the
end. We're all, obviously as a creator and artist, and I'm a designer. I'm sure Alex has some late nights too. We got to eat, late night. So what are some of your favorite midnight snacks?
Oh, that's easy. Lucky Charms.
Lucky Charms.
Yeah,
Interesting.
Lucky Charms, if they're around in the house. That's my go-to. But it's usually something sweet. If it's not Lucky Charms, I'll go for a pie. If we have any pie in the house, I'm usually hunting for something sweet when it's late, just to keep my creative fuel burning, keep me going.
What's your favorite pie?
A good apple pie, a good grade of apple pie. Like it could be like I love apple pie as much as I hate apple pie when it's a bad apple pie. Like it's like
like if it tastes too menacing-y.
Huh?
Like
the too processed or something.
Yeah.
Like.
How about you, Alex? What's some of your favorite midnight snacks?
Snack, probably like maybe Ruffles sour cream and cheddar.
Ooh,
potato
nice.
chips. Yeah. That's been my favorite since I think junior high. Still my go-to. Yeah.
I'm a sucker for sandwiches, so usually I'll make a sandwich, like either a grilled cheese sandwich or like an egg sandwich.
Yeah.
Something simple.
See that late at night?
Late at night.
See, that's too much work.
Yeah.
I have to have no options. Like, all right, I'll make a sandwich.
What's a band, musician, or type of music that people who know you would be surprised that you listen to?
A band?
Like a band, musician, or type of music that people that know you would be surprised
I got
that you
a
listen
pretty
to.
eclectic taste, and us '80s kids, we grew up on MTV, so we're exposed to all kinds of stuff. You guys know that. Yeah. So I don't know. I listen to everything, dude. Not too much country though. I don't listen to a lot of country music. You're gonna have to come back to me on that one.
All right. Classical music?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I'll listen to on my in my iTunes. I have the soundtrack to Fantasia, so that's got a bunch of old classics, compilations. But I couldn't tell you, like, I'm not a classic aficionado. Like, I don't know the composers' names, and like, I know the famous ones, but I wouldn't be able to connect what song they did. Yeah. So I'm not into it heavy like that, Then, like, I also have Miles Davis' Kind of Blue, which is a famous jazz album. But again, I'm not deep into jazz where I can go into a conversation about it. It's just whatever sounds good to me, and I can't think of anything really weird. I mean, movie soundtracks. So I'm all in.
How about you, Alex?
I don't listen to a lot, but I do like some new wave from the '80s, Depeche Mode, and stuff like that. Yeah.
Those are always nice.
Yeah.
Those bring back memories for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I may have talked about it on this podcast or another one, but I grew up listening to country music, so. But I think a lot of my friends probably wouldn't know that I'm a huge Merle Haggard fan.
Who?
Merle Haggard. He's one of my dad's favorites. So
is that country?
It's country, like Willie Nelson's sort of
era.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Johnny Cash, all that stuff.
Yeah. I like some Johnny Cash. At least the popular stuff I've heard from him. Like seemed like my vibe.
Mm-hmm. And I've been listening lately to. I haven't listened to him in a long time, but I was a big fan of sort of like this Cuban jazz group called the Buena Vista Social Club. So they're pretty cool.
How many social clubs are out there?
What 5 movies resonate with you, and why do they resonate with you?
What, 5 movies?
Yeah.
Wow.
These are tough questions today, man. Resonate 5. Well, you already know about Star Wars.
Yeah.
And Star Wars resonates with me because I was like heavy into astronomy when I was a kid. I wanted to be an astronaut. So that was part of it. But then also it was just like the coolest thing going at the time when it came out. So it just kind of like locked me into comics and pop culture as far as, science fiction and stuff. So that Star Wars was the hook for me. And then what else is there out there? And then there's as far as anime, Macross series from Japan, because I was heavy. I loved F-14s. That's my favorite jet fighter. And then to see it transform into a robot based off that design and done well, that locked me. Like I'm just forever fan of Macross. And that's 2, right?
Yeah.
What resonated with me?
Let's just do 3.
I know.
Okay. One more.
Yeah, I'm just trying to like. When I get to thinking of like, oh no, that one, no, but then there's this one, and then there's that one. Gosh.
What's a movie this year that stood out for you? I mean, obviously there's Black Panther, but other than that.
The only movie that's like in recent times that really left a mark on me was Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Like actually where I was left in a haze, or made me like, wow, the artistry of it, and wow, the story and everything, like locked me all the way in. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was like
That's groundbreaking.
And entertaining on all levels, and artistry.
And we got to give a shout out to John Semper, because I don't think he gets enough credit for the whole Spider-Man multiverse idea.
He makes that known on Facebook. Like, at first, I thought he was just joking around, but like, wait a minute, this guy's posting this every other day. Like, he's serious.
Well, I mean, if you look back at his series, the one that he ran, and also Into the Spider-Verse, I mean, Kingpin was antagonist for both.
No.
So, and just the idea of the whole multiverse, just I don't think he gets enough credit for it. So,
see, in the 90s, I wasn't watching a lot of TV animation. Like that whole thing with the X-Men animated series, I missed all of that. I knew it was there, but I was just, my life at the time was not focused on that stuff. So I missed a lot of that history. I didn't even know Image formed until I walked into a comic store and I was like, who the hell is Rob Liefeld? I know Jim Lee, but who's Rob Liefeld and all these other cats?
Yeah. Alex.
3 movies?
Yeah, 3 movies that resonate with you.
Probably Die Hard. I don't know. For some reason, I could watch that movie over and over again. For some reason. And let's see. What else? Probably one of the first big movies I ever watched in theater was probably E.T. So then I watched the 40th anniversary.
Did you cry?
Actually, no. It was just like, it seemed, I don't know. For some reason, the movie seemed different than what I remember as a kid. Yeah. After
after you watched it again?
Yeah. Recently, it was. It came out. Was it August of this year? It was the 40th anniversary. So. Yeah, I don't know. It just seemed different than what I remember as a kid, but just being one of the first big movies, which is why I chose E.T. Let's see, and one more. Let's see. Wow. Maybe I don't know. I guess a pretty recent one. I guess Endgame, just because that's Infinity Wars, whatever. Either one. Because just bringing all these...
You can probably consider those the same movie, maybe,
Yeah. Just because it brings all the characters. I like teamwork type superhero movies, not just like individual.
Do you have a favorite scene from those 2 movies?
I guess when, Falcon, started
on your
talking, and you hear his voice, and he contacts Captain America, and he was like... Then you see everyone start running out of the portals. I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah. Remember the audience clapping on that scene. That's when you know you have the audience, when they clap, when they're supposed to clap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I mean, obviously there's a lot of movies, but just top of mind, there's the... I love the old, like, Zatoichi, the Blind Swordsman movies. I used to watch those on TV when they were on. Also, there's a movie in the 80s called North Shore. I don't know if you guys remember that movie.
With New Peoples?
Yeah, with New Peoples. Anyway, the reason why that sort of resonated with me also is because the main character was a graphic designer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so, and it was pure camp and funny movie. I enjoy the movie. Like me and my sister enjoy that movie a lot, so we kind of recite the lines back and forth to each other.
Oh.
So that's
now. If you ask me what movies I know lines, like I can give you some of those for sure. Like Top Gun, I probably know all the lines of Top Gun, the original one.
Yeah.
For me, it's Friday.
Friday, that one. Yeah.
I should have said Friday was probably top 5 then.
Yeah.
And the last one, gosh, this question's pretty hard. I don't know if you guys watched like Hong Kong cinema. Do you remember this movie called Infernal Affairs? It's the movie that The Departed.
Infernal or Internal?
Infernal. It's kind of it should be Internal Affairs, but they called it Infernal Affairs. But it's the movie that The Departed was based on. See, not a lot of people. Not a lot of people realize that was originally a Hong Kong movie.
Yeah, I heard about
So,
that.
I think it's important to point that out so that they can watch the original one, which I think was actually a better movie.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And we mentioned Black Panther a little bit earlier, but what's your overall opinion of the recent Black Panther Wakanda Forever movie?
Oh, Wakanda Forever?
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I really did. It was an emotional. It was really more of an emotional experience for me, but because of the whole situation and the way they handled Chadwick's death throughout, the way they honored him throughout the film, I thought it was tasteful and done well. And then, but beyond that, I thought the action was great. It was better. I thought the action was actually better than a lot of Marvel films, a lot of superhero movies in general, because sometimes when they do the big crescendo fights at the end, it gets it's like it doesn't really have impact. It's just a bunch of noise and you're like, okay, they're going through the motions and whatever. But when I was watching Wakanda, to me, it had tension behind it. So I felt it. I don't know if we should get into spoilers, but
go ahead.
It's been out for a while.
Yeah, like
we'll just go spoiler alert. Oh, here you go. Go ahead.
Like when Okoye was fighting on the bridge, that was an impactful fight. That was done really well. Or when Shuri got stabbed by Namor or Namor, and
the child without sin.
Yeah, my only real criticism with the film was I thought they shoehorned Riri in there. I wasn't really feeling her character too much. It just seemed like they were checking a box with her. But outside of that, I didn't really have any real complaints. I thought it was done very well considering what Ryan Coogler was left with. I thought he rebounded well. But yeah, I really enjoyed it.
That's right. Namor was the child without love.
Yeah.
How about you, Alex? What was your general opinion about the movie?
Yeah, overall, I liked it. Watched it several times.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually watched it twice too. Like I wouldn't, and I usually don't do that. I usually wait till even the bigger films I don't really watch twice, but I felt like it was so much in there. I wanted to see it again because on multiple levels. Like I said, it was emotional, but it also had a lot going on. I just wanted to see it again.
Yeah, it was like it's like after the second, third time I saw it, it was like you understand some of the other things that I probably didn't catch on watching it just for the first time.
Yeah, people were saying, I saw one of the criticism, people didn't understand why Shuri's portrayal, she was acting the way she was acting, her mindset, and I guess they thought she was being little kind of disrespectful and all stuff. And I was like, well, her tone and her character was actually set at the very beginning of the film. This is a woman who lost her brother and her mom and some other friends or whatever. And they were asking why did she? People online were wondering why. How did it make sense that she saw Killmonger in the afterlife or whatever that place is called? And I was like, it was established in the very beginning of the film. She was put in a state of anger and confusion, and so everything from that point on was she was being rebellious to her situation. It's kind of like, and if you know people in real life that are dealing with these death or of a family member that gone to before their time. Like especially children, they can go the wrong direction. They can become very dark and angry about everything. And I thought it was appropriate for Shuri's character to act that way. And so when she took the herb, which was also artificially made, she saw Killmonger, and it to me, because watching the film, I was like, she's not really a proper Black Panther because her mindset wasn't right. So to me, it made sense that she saw Killmonger.
Yeah, that was actually my next question. I mean, do you think they made the right choice on choosing her as the next Black Panther? I mean, there was other characters that
I didn't see her as the next Black Panther. I just saw her doing what she needed to do to deal with the situation she was in. I didn't see her character accepting the role because she didn't even do the trial. She skipped the trial, so her character didn't even accept it. And that's the way I felt watching it. It's like, I understand why she's becoming Black Panther to deal with the situation at hand, but she didn't go through the proper channels to take the mantle. So she wasn't really ready. You know, for her, it was more revenge than honor. You know?
Yeah.
Do you think the son's gonna
Well, eventually.
be
Yeah.
Of course.
to be?
Of course. Of course. That's the whole setup, you know. I expect to see him in the next film. They're just going to do a time jump,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know.
For me, it's like, I think, you know, obviously, you know, Namor is the villain in this movie, but is he? And also, I think he deserved his own movie. I don't think he should have had a large part in this movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I think
I knew he would. Well, I'm coming from comics. I already know he's not a villain. He's always been like that. He's just protective of his people.
Yeah, I think, and also I think the Killmonger character stole some of Namor's thunder because they're sort of similar in some ways. You know, I think with Killmonger there and you know Namor there also, it's like it's almost like having the same kind of character in some ways because
The way they operate.
the way they operate.
Yeah.
So, but I think they should use the movie to introduce Namor and then have Namor have his own movie. Because I think he's that big of a character or important enough to have his own movie.
No, I mean, they still can do it. Still give him his own film. I don't see why.
Have him fight the Hulk.
Yeah,
that's
but
another-
he's supposed to be an Avenger, right? In the comics, he's an Avenger, isn't he?
He's not.
He's a free agent. He'll pop up every once in a while.
He's a defender, but he's not a.
Yeah, he's a defender.
But he's not. He was never part of the Avengers.
He wasn't?
No. He's also part of that secret group with
The Cabal, the
Cabal.
Illuminati.
The Illuminati, yeah.
To keep the
And I think that's where a
rings
lot
of
of
power.
friction between Black Panther and Namor come from that association.
Yeah. But he's really connected to Fantastic Four
yeah,
lore.
yeah, right.
Because he has emotions and feelings for Sue Storm.
If James Gunn was sitting here, what would you want to talk to him about?
Oh my gosh. Why do you bring that up? Good luck. I don't know. Good luck, because I think a lot of this whole controversy with Henry Cavill and all that's kind of silly to me. He hasn't done anything to warrant the criticism yet.
Right, exactly. That's the way I feel.
So I'm like, what are you guys even talking about? He just got here. He has nothing to do with all the stuff that came before him. And I agree. He needs to start with a clean slate. And, unfortunately for Mr. Cavill, then, he could have stayed. It could have been an option, obviously, but, I personally think it's better to start all the way clean and right the ship,
Yeah. How about you, Alex?
I don't know. I haven't been keeping up with the news on him, so I'm not sure what's.
Well, he basically they put him in the Kevin Feige position for Warner Brothers for DC, and so he's basically cleaning house right now. And he cut Henry Cavill as Superman.
Yeah.
So people are doing their usual internet outrage and talking about they're not going to go watch, and I'm like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
But it does. But now it puts pressure on James Gunn to show and prove now. Like he, since this put hype on him and pressure on him to justify the decisions he's making. But
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100% with what pretty much you said. I wish him the best of luck. And I think it is important for him to, start over with a clean slate just because, I mean, there's an argument saying there's a lot of fans out there saying, yeah, they should have finished off what Zack Snyder did with the whole Snyderverse stuff. But, I think that's just,
nah.
I think that's a waste of time and money. And I know your feelings toward the whole Zack Snyder universe. I mean, it's like, even we've talked about this in the past, where it's like his movies were just had the wrong tone for Superman to begin with.
Right.
You know.
Right. Because we wouldn't be in this. We wouldn't be having these. Even the Snyder fans, whether they admit it or not, the reason we got to this whole debacle is because it didn't start out well. You know, it was controversy from the beginning. You know.
I guess my next question is, how does artificial intelligence art make you feel?
I honestly don't have an opinion on it. Like, it doesn't really, I understand the argument of the artist not being happy that it sources existing art to create new images. And I agree, like, that's not cool because the art, you know, but at the same time, I'm not sure if it warrants this type of attention, because if someone created a piece of art using AI and they didn't tell you they did, you would know, you would react to it like you would before you knew about AI. You would just, oh, someone did that. Now, what's left? Do you like it or you don't like it? That's your only reaction from that point on, right? If you didn't know it came from AI, you're still going to judge. Your initial reaction is going to be you either like it or you don't. And so you don't know you just assume that some artist sat there and created this piece of work, you know. Now me, and that's the way I look at it. Like, I haven't seen anything like that style of art doesn't really turn me on. Like, as far as comic book work, I'm not into hyper realistic stuff. Like, to me, I'm like, I might as well just get a photograph. That's how, you know, I'm just not into that style. I'm not into realistic looking, quote unquote art. I prefer like more like comic book styles and cartoony styles and stuff like that. But if someone generated something in the style that I like from AI, I'm still gonna have to. If you didn't tell me, I wouldn't know. Like, I'm still gonna judge it on the aesthetics of what I'm seeing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, so I guess I'm saying, like, someone could just continue to use AI and just not say they did it. And what could I do? Like, I'm not going to investigate every piece of art that comes across my screen. So I'm not going to put a lot of energy into protesting it, you know, because I'm already competing against other artists for work. And that can draw, it literally can draw in the style that of an AI, you know, a realistic like, I'm not trying to achieve that anyway. It's like, I'm just me. I like my style, and I like other folks for their style. And so I like a variety of stuff. There is no one way to draw or render something. So to me, I don't feel threatened by AI. I'll put it that way.
At the very least, you should make sure to always watermark your art.
yeah, I guess.
Because it's funny because like people have been posting stuff and like they'll see like this garbled signature on the bottom because they can see how it was sourced from someone else's artwork, because you see the artist's signature on there, but it's not like, you know.
Yeah, but when I used to like kind of raise my eyebrows when I see like Rob Liefeld swiping entire pages and poses and it was not even, it was blatant. Like, I've seen him swipe the entire George Teen Titans issues, like pose for pose, panel for panel. And I'm like, where's the outrage on that? You know, you guys didn't get outraged by that. And he's like super famous,
right?
You know, I see guys at Comic-Cons doing the same thing. They're selling fan art of characters they didn't create. You know, they're not breaking off the originators something for it. You know, so it's already out there. Like, you know, those concerns are already out there before AI.
Actually, I think there's also a graphic novel that got, I guess, was granted a copyright or something, and they were looking at it again because it was AI generated.
A graphic novel.
So it's being looked at again to. I think it's going to set precedents going forward to for a lot of AI art.
Oh, I mean, was the actual pages copied?
Yeah, everything was AI created.
No, I mean, like,
Well, with
How does
AR,
that-
it has to have, you have to input something to get something out.
right.
So you have to,
basically, in order to qualify for copyright or whatever this person's trying to get, you have to have human involvement. That's a litmus test. So obviously, this AI generated art for this graphic novel isn't going to pass muster. So I think it's going to set precedents. I think going forward.
yeah.
I have to see what it looks like. These are actual comic book pages.
I believe so. They said that. I just read the headline, and it's a graphic novel that's been submitted for copyright. So, yeah. So
You can copyright a concept. I mean, you can copyright a character.
well, either copyright or trademark or whatever.
Or, I mean, you can copyright an actual idea and character and all this stuff. But that's what I'm trying to figure out. What is he trying to get copywritten? Like the actual IP or the actual art in the book?
Yeah, I think basically it's probably the IP because it's a graphic novel as a whole. So I think that's what it is. I don't know the specifics, but I just saw the headline, earlier today. So basically also there's people who say AI is good for music, but the people that say that are also stating that the music that's created by AI art is sourcing like royalty-free stuff, which is okay.
What's AI music?
No, it's the same concept. It's sourcing royalty-free stuff, which is okay to source. But if that's okay, then if you translate it to the art side, to the illustration side, then it's not. Then that means it's not okay for AI art to be used or to be bought to be the same way that the AI music is, because you're saying that you can only use like royalty.
I can understand. I can understand the existing copyright laws still working in the context of whether someone generated something with AI or by their hand. Like you can't. I know that I can't make a Spider-Man book. I can't make a Superman book. Mm-hmm. Well, no matter how I generate the actual art, I can't do that. Those are copywritten IPs. I can't outright recreate the Mona Lisa and say I created it. Obviously, I can't do that. Mm-hmm. When it comes to like a whole new image being generated from sampling, then like I said, how would I know unless someone told me? You know what I mean?
So obviously, I think a lot of conventions are going to start saying, "Hey, we're not going to allow, AI art here." I mean, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, they could say that, but how do you prove that it's not AI? Like, how do you say unless you tell on yourself?
Oh yeah, I mean, I would think eventually people will be found out through reputation and through through because I think there's conventions that are doing that right now, saying that they won't allow AI art. And then the artists out.
And I saw there's a little movement going on right now. I forget, no AI or whatever it is.
Well, anyways, that's
what if an artist uses their own art as a source,
right?
Just to generate new art from.
Yeah, but I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to put a lot of energy into it. I don't have time to anyway. But I'm going to trust in my own art and trust that I have my own fan base and fans that like what I do, and that's all I can do,
What's one thing on your bucket list that would surprise people?
Maybe scuba diving.
Yeah?
Because that's a phobia of mine that I want to overcome. Just like just being out in the ocean with wildlife. It's like,
do you know how to swim?
I can swim, but I don't consider myself a swimmer. Like I won't drown, but I'm not like like my brother. He's a swimmer. Like he can swim all kinds of different ways, but I'm just like basic swimming, Yeah,
there's a person that I follow on Instagram, right? I think her name is Valentine Thomas. She's a well-known like supporter of like sustainable fishing. Mm-hmm. And so she's well known for like that and like her spearfishing videos and photos. So yeah, she does a lot of, I guess, dives down there also. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
How about you, Alex?
Probably one thing is probably visiting like 3 main Worlds of Wonder type man-made places. Like top 3 were the Great Pyramids,
Yeah, for sure.
Machu Picchu, and the Great Wall of China.
Yeah,
I agree.
That would be dope, man.
Yeah, I definitely want to see the pyramids.
Yeah. Then I put another thing on my list was to see the like natural wonders, like 3 natural wonders of the world. And I think one of them was like the Aurora Borealis, and I still haven't chosen the other 2 yet.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's funny. My last guest, we were talking about the Aurora Borealis because he loves going. Well, he went to Iceland, you know, and he wants to go back, you know, to visit. So it's pretty cool. For me, gosh, you know, people who listen to the podcast know that I like going to karaoke, right? So I thought it'd be pretty cool to one day own like a karaoke joint that served like kick-ass, like, you know, appetizers, you know.
Oh yeah,
and craft beer.
that'd be cool. We actually did karaoke for Thanksgiving at my wife's aunt's house. We went there for Thanksgiving. They had a karaoke thing going, so I didn't think I'd get into it, but I ended up getting into it.
All right, well, we'll save that question for a little later. Let's see. Oh, you're at a comic book shop and you're thumbing through the back issue bins. What comics would you look for?
I need to get a copy of, I forgot the actual issue number, but it's the G.I. Joe silent issue where Snake Eye sneaks into Cobra Castle or something to rescue Scarlet, I think. She was captured by Storm Shadow or something. There's no words in the issue at all. Like it's all panel. It's a whole sequential, pure comic, no panels, no nothing. And I think it was the first time I ever seen anything like that when it originally came out. So, and I don't know where my personal copy ever ended up, but that was back in the 80s. So I would like to get another copy of that. And I have looked and I have not found it. It's probably worth a pretty good penny now, the original one. I wish I had my original. Like I had the stuff when I go into the bins and stuff I already had. And I'm trying to find again because I didn't take care of it when I was a kid, or somehow it got stolen or lost. But like the original Superman versus Muhammad Ali was an oversized book. I have the reprint, which is smaller, but I wish I still had the actual original first printing, which was an oversized book.
Mm-hmm. Rest in peace, Neil Adams.
Yes, rest in peace.
How about you, Alex?
I don't know, maybe the Battlestar Galactica.
Oh,
See how. I don't know. Just kind of want to. I think I had a few issues, but kind of want to read like.
It's that series that actually got me hooked on comics.
Oh yeah.
Because that was a tie-in to the TV show back in the day.
Okay.
So I remember that one.
Yeah.
I got it from my local 7-Eleven.
I actually got the oversized
Yeah,
issue 1 of it. The oversized Battlestar Galactica. I found one at SoCal. They had one on sale there.
For me, you know, I grew up a Marvel fan, and I enjoyed. I don't know if you guys remember the Marvel Universe.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I used to love
like an encyclopedia.
Yeah, those were fun.
Yeah, I want to recollect all that because I don't know where mine is, and I want to.
I saw they have the trade now,
like a big compendium or something like that.
Yeah, I've seen it a few times.
Cool. I'll have to look for that.
Yeah.
I loved thumbing through that. I mean, that's when I used to know a lot about the Marvel universe and history was through those books. So
see, you were asking about good memories earlier, right? See, that's what I feel. That's like my mantra: "The kid in you never dies." That's the one element I feel that's not there in me anymore. Like reading like the Marvel Universe books, like there was something when you're a kid, that stuff really resonates, and it makes your imagination go, and you're thinking about this stuff like it's real. And my mind doesn't think that way anymore. Like I can't get that energy anymore out of comics, you know.
When did you start?
Or anything really.
When did you start feeling like that?
I think the 90s.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like recent.
No, the 90s, because you know, in the 90s, you know, chasing girls and you're having different emotions and stuff, experiencing a lot of different things for the first time. So you just kind of mature out of that stuff, you know. I still respond to the art and something that's well written and stuff, of course, you know, just like a good movie, but it's not the missing element is that, it's almost like before you find out Santa Claus is not real, you're looking out the window and trying to see if you can catch him, fly over the house and stuff. That magic is not there, you know. Even though I still enjoy the genre of comic books and fantasy art and all this other stuff, the element of wonder has kind of been faded. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Has that been replaced with something else? I mean, obviously you mentioned the 90s, but I mean, like now, like
I get turned on by well-crafted stuff. Like as an artist and seeing good art, that stuff obviously turns me on, and I get excited by that. But but again, it's not. It's super rare that. Or maybe it's the quality of the artist these days. I don't know. It's rare to find good stuff. It feels like it's hard to find good stuff anymore. Like felt like it was more abundant back in the 80s to me personally. Yeah. You know.
How about you, Alex?
Oh, this question. Sorry.
Oh, wait. I guess you already answered. We went through that round already. I guess my next question is, what's one word you would use to describe yourself?
These days, probably headstrong.
Yeah. Why do you say that?
Because I feel like I've figured some things out in life to get the things to get the things I want out of life. Like I think my younger self was kind of more passive and more like accepting the circumstances I was in and not really trying to push too hard against it. Whereas now as an older man, it's like I feel like I'm more confident in myself, and which makes me more brave to just do what I want instead of trying to please others and not rock the boat too much.
Sure. You know? I mean, is there also, now that we're a little bit older, is there some like also like you don't want to have any regrets? You know, you want to try and fulfill all your dreams, or at least try.
Right.
You know, is that why you're probably headstrong as well?
I think that's part of it. Yeah, you feel your own mortality. Like you know that you're on the clock now. I think because I'm 51, and I've had some health issues, so I feel like I'm on the clock now. Like make everything count. You know.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Alex?
Get back to me. You go first.
Okay. I often say that optimism is my superpower. So, like, you know, optimism is or optimistic is what I would use for myself.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You can think about it.
Yeah.
We'll come back to you. Well, going back to karaoke, it's 2 a.m. At your local karaoke joint. It's 2 a.m. at my karaoke joint. We're all there. You get to sing the last song. What song do you sing?
I like singing Aerosmith's, what's the name of that song that was in Armageddon?
Oh, yeah. Damn, that's hard, dude.
I like singing that song.
Wow.
Man, I really don't sing, so. You know me, I never sing when we go to karaoke. I just kick back and drink, but.
How about what's the last song you heard in the... What song do you sing in the shower?
No, I don't.
All right.
Yeah, I know what songs for some reason, my shower songs are always jingles.
Yeah.
Commercial jingles.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a big Radiohead fan, so usually I start off with like Creep, but sometimes I'll end it with Creep as well.
Okay.
So that's one of my go-tos.
That's cool.
Also, I love Chris Cornell, so I'll sing a few like Audio Slave songs as well. Those are always fun. If I have a rapper friend, if a friend that can rap, I'll do Linkin Park as well. I'll do the vocals, and someone else can do the rapping part.
Okay.
So that's always fun as well.
So who do you prefer, Linkin Park or Nirvana?
You can have both, right?
You can, but if you had to choose between the two bands, which one do you like better?
I don't know. It's hard. You know, I was a fan of Nirvana's Unplugged show that they did on MTV back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was a good time of music for me, and I remember that vividly.
Have you seen Post Malone do Nirvana?
No, I haven't.
He's really,
I'll check
really
it out.
good. Pull it up on YouTube. He does a live session of Nirvana songs. But
I also had a good time at a few Linkin Park concerts. Like I remember, like at Cypress Hill was there, so that was a fun show. So and I'm a big fan of Chester. I mean, he can really sing, and just the whole group had.
I like the hookup they did with Jay-Z.
Yeah, that was good too.
Was dope.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's hard for me to choose just because. Like you, I have an eclectic taste in music. Yeah. And it just depends on my mood and what I'm listening to.
Exactly.
And I can appreciate both.
Exactly. You have to be a mood thing.
Yeah.
Do you think people listen to? I don't feel like people listen to music the way we did back in the 90s and 80s and 90s. Yeah. I feel like it's more segregated these days. Like people are so in their silos. They think you have to listen to, this group listens to this group listens to that. And I don't think they really, like my kids, I don't think they understand, like, no, man, you don't understand. Like, we were all listening to everything back then. It wasn't weird to one day listen to New Wave, and then the next day listen to Michael Jackson, and then the next day listen to Guns N' Roses.
Right.
It was just whatever MTV put up there in the top 10, we were listening to all of it. Madonna, Prince, those icons. And they were all in different music genres. Whitney Houston was not Madonna, and Madonna was not Prince, and Prince was not Michael, and you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, and then you had U2 and freaking Tears for Fears and Oingo Boingo. Yeah, man. All of that stuff was like, it was not a concept in my head that I'm not supposed to listen to this because I like rap or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like it wasn't a concept.
So what kind of music do your kids listen to?
My kids, my daughter, she got an electric guitar because she wanted to learn electric guitar. But from what I can tell, she listens to pretty much everything. I've heard her listening to hip hop. I've heard her listening to rock, and I've heard her. If you go in her room, she has a bunch of old.
Oh, so you're not really talking about your kids. You're just talking about kids in general, not your kids.
Yeah, kids in general.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I mean. Of course, she was raised under me, so she's going to have an eclectic taste because that's what I have.
Right.
I'm going to expose her to all those types of things, but I notice it just feels different now because they absorb. They can pick whatever they want, where we were forced to listen to different music because there was no iTunes playlist or whatever. They don't even listen to whole albums now. They make their own playlist based on whatever they like, But it seems having it happen that way, it's easy to miss good stuff because you think, well, all my friends listen to this, and this is what's hot right now, and I'm just going to listen to this. And it's like, well, you're not going to discover anything if you're not. Not
only that, but you're also not listening to how the artist intended.
True. Yeah, that.
So, yeah, I think that, I enjoy making playlists as well, but I also go back and listen to the albums whole, just to make sure I get the.
But even the artists today, like the I'm a hip hop head, so I listen to a lot of hip hop, but even today, the hip hop artists, the new ones that come out today, like they're not as experimental. They are and they aren't. Like there are a few of them there out there now that are like they'll do some experimental sounding stuff, but like a lot of the mainstream guys don't seem to want to push the boundaries too much. Like you don't like when Run DMC and Aerosmith hooked up together. That was like pushing the boundary at that time. That was something unexpected and cross-pollinating. Jay-Z and Nirvana weren't the first to do that. People forget Aerosmith and Run DMC did that first. You know what I mean? They actually made a song, not a mix. They made a actual song together. First time recording. I don't know.
I think when it comes to hip hop, I think the next phase is that they won't be sampling other people's stuff. They'll be sampling their own music.
Oh, they already stopped doing that.
I know, but
they already stopped because they couldn't pay for the sampling fees. So that kind of ended for a while now. That's why you see a lot of the same sounding beats.
Well, I mean that's what I'm saying. They're gonna progress and learn how to play the instruments themselves.
Oh, go back to being musicians.
Yeah, not just sampling, left and right, and knob twisters.
I see what you're saying.
Producers.
Well, maybe we'll see. Everything. I mean, kind of goes back to the AI argument. It seems to be the accepted way of creating stuff now. Is to.
Well, I mean, just look at. I guess for me, in recent memory, I mean, I've become a big fan of Anderson .Paak, Mm-hmm. If just imagine he can rap and play drums and, do music and write. Mm-hmm. So
kind of be like Prince.
Yeah, in a way. So I guess my last question for the Thunder Round is what do you want to eat after we're done with this podcast?
Good question. Right now I could probably eat anything. Oh, man. Oh, jeez. Oh, you guys like Chinese?
Yeah. You know a good Chinese spot?
Over there in the Convoy, I've been going there. I've been there a couple of times now. I like the food. The it's not Shogun. Food.
Where's it nearby?
Next to Kuro's, the rotating restaurant. It's in that same parking lot.
Oh, Shanghai Saloon.
Shanghai Saloon.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Been there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have good dumplings.
Yeah. I remember if anybody's listening to this and they're from San Diego, they go to Convoy a lot. There used to be like a little small store, mom and pop shop to the left of Shanghai Saloon. Mm-hmm. That's where the original Dumpling Inn was.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then they moved into that middle part.
Oh, okay.
That's where is it Shanghai Saloon Dumpling Inn?
Yeah, Dumpling Inn, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just to be clear.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now that you mentioned that, I can go for some good dumplings,
Okay.
Cool. All right, well.
Although I don't think I've ever actually ordered dumplings while I was there.
Oh, really?
So far, I've only ordered the
the food.
filet mignon.
The Chinese food is good over there. I like their chow mein there. And I think one time we had my birthday there one time. So it's pretty cool. Hopefully, it gets busy, though. So
it does. It does get busy. But the good thing about that place, they're not slow. Like, they get to you pretty fast. Like, you don't have to wait forever on end
to
get served.
You got my appetite wet. I'm ready. Cool. Well, since this is our New Year's episode, we'll do a recap of our 2022. I know it's been a challenge for a lot of our listeners and for people out there, but hopefully there's been some positive notes as well. I know for Keithan, like
I had the best Comic-Con experience ever.
Yeah, I mean you're a guest of honor, right?
I was a special one of their special guests with all the trimmings. I mean, they hooked me up with the hotel room and took care of my food bill and took care of my friends and family, and it was awesome, man. And even had a little handler for me and all this stuff. And then the table experience was good. I did some panels. I think you and I were on the panel.
That's right.
and which was really good. I got a few people came to my table and told me they were inspired by that panel. But
thanks for the opportunity for letting me moderate.
Oh, no doubt, man. Both of you guys have been with me from the beginning, as far as I'm concerned. So you've been able to kind of watch my journey, and so I was honored to have you do it. And yeah, dude, that was. And we're about to do it again with Black Comix Day.
That's right. We'll talk about your next iteration, but are there any highlights from 2022 Black Comix Day that you want to talk about?
That was a good show too. I think that was the biggest one so far, and it was the first time some of the major news outlets covered it. That was the first time. Usually, I get and I'm forever grateful Beth Accomando from KPBS covering the show, but this year was the first time CBS and Fox came around and did interviews. And so it made me feel like I was going in the right direction with the show, and it was growing. And so that was awesome. And again, like the people, nothing but positive feedback from the people that attended. So I'm happy that it's going well, even though, to be perfectly honest, every year I say it's the last time I'm going to do it because it's so much work putting it together. It takes so much energy from me. So I'm not doing this again. But they keep bringing me back.
Yeah, I mean, people look forward to it, man. I mean, like Greg Elliott say, I'm sure he's a big, fan of the show, and he's also,
he's not going to make it this time.
Oh, he's not.
He's not going to make it this time.
Bad.
He tried, but he doesn't think he's going to be able to pull it off this year. But I got some great replacements. I got some great special guests for the new show.
Yeah, cool. We'll get into that a little bit later. But you also went to Mexico for a convention.
Oh yeah. I went to GammaCon. It's my second time ever in Mexicali. I don't know a lick of Spanish. I mean, other than some basic stuff that all Californians know.
Cerveza, por favor.
Right. And I went over there and set up shop at their convention center in Mexicali. Had a pretty good crowd. But I did, this time I made sure to bring a Spanish version of my book, The Power Knights.
Oh, nice.
And people responded to it well. So that was a success.
How smart of you to do that.
Yeah. So I'm happy I did that. And yeah, the book sold. The dollar is stronger than the peso. So the exchange rate, what I may give money on that end, but when I came over here, it wasn't as much. So that was kind of depressing. But ultimately, my real reasoning for going over there at this stage of the game is to just spread my audience and see if I can get something going on internationally. So in that respect, it was a success. And also, I learned, speaking of Chinese food, some of the best Chinese food in the world is in Mexicali.
I hear that too.
So that's something I learned while I was there, and we had some good Chinese food.
Nice. We'll have to
maybe check out the next one next year.
Is there any other highlights for you this year? You work on a couple of books besides Power Knights, right?
Yes, I'm still working for Vortex Comics doing Chaos Breaker, and now I'm done with the single issue phase, and I moved on into the graphic novel. That they decided to go for the graphic novel for the second half of the story. So that's interesting. I am working for Thingamajig Studios, who are up in LA doing Me and Mr. Jones issue 3 now. I'm on issue 3 and trying to wrap that up. I'm actually in the process of wrapping that issue up right now in the next couple of weeks. Commissions, always doing a commission every other month for someone. Trying to think of highlights. Highlights. Feel like I'm missing something. Oh yeah, a couple of things. Couple of things. Went to my first LA Comic-Con, which was great. Did really well there, and then the very next week I went back up to LA to do a first time show for at the Los Angeles African American Museum. where they had director Ryan Coogler as special guest, and a gang of people showed up to see him. And then when they got done talking to him, they had us set up outside, the vendors, and they came out and basically they sold me out. They took everything I had for sale. So that was really good. So I'm hoping, and John Jennings helped put that show together. So I'm hoping that will be a great end of year show that we can do every year. That's a way to end the year as far as cons go.
Speaking of John Jennings, the Kindred came out.
Oh yeah. Kendrick came out. That show's a nut. That show. I went about halfway and I had to put it down. Like, it's good, but at the same time, it's stressful. It's kind of I don't know if stress is the right word. It's heavy, you know. Like, you know, there's this thing with the Black community right now that we're kind of tired of slave movies. Like, we don't want to see anymore. And I don't think it's because we don't appreciate it, but I think after a while, seeing so many, it's mentally taxing, and it's puts you in a certain space that you don't want. I mean, like sometimes you just want to see an escape, just pop movies, it's a pop culture, popcorn movie, and not all this heavy stuff all the time. And Kindred is heavy.
Yeah.
But it's well done. It's well done. It's just, I think you have to be in a certain space to absorb it. Same with Emancipation. I watched that recently too. And I was like, I mean, technically it was done well. Will Smith, was a great actor in it and all that stuff. But it was kind of like, oh man, gets you in a space that can really put you in the dump, like watching this stuff.
Speaking of Will Smith, are you Team Smith or Team Rock?
I think neither. I think if it was just two dudes two of your friends, it's like, pardon the expression, but shit happens. It's like I fought with my friends before, and the next day it's like nothing happened. I just think this is just two mega stars that we saw it on the stage play out in live TV, and it made it bigger than it actually is, and I'm not condoning what Will did, but at the same time, I'm not like looking at him like he's Hitler or somebody, like he's a supervillain, like not with his record. Like, this is the first time anyone's seen Will Smith behave in that manner. And so you got to extend him an olive branch, like, all right, dude, you messed up. We know your character, Now if you do it again, then okay, wait a minute. But I don't. That was it was fun to talk about. I guess it was something to debate the merits of it, because there are some people supported what he did, some people didn't. But I just thought, like, wait a minute, guys, none of us know this man. We don't know Chris, and we don't know Will, and we don't know their relationship, so we really don't know. We just know that no one's perfect, and we all have had our moments, and if you say you didn't, you're lying, So that's how I feel about it.
Yeah. Anything else? Any other highlights?
Other than this is the year that Kanye became a Nazi.
I wasn't going to bring up Kanye, but I was gonna save Kanye for another podcast, because that's a whole other discussion.
Just put that little marker there for history's sake.
Mike, wow. I could have talked about Elon Musk as well, but
that's another one. Another one. Yeah, this is the year of billionaires like destroying their brand for no reason.
Speaking about billionaires, I think people put too much stock in billionaires. Like them being their savior and
for
Messiah,
sure. For sure. Yeah. I think this year is. If anyone's paying attention, this is the year that you should now realize that you can't. The saying of never meet your heroes really is solidified. Like, some of these people you don't really want to know too much about. You really don't. But the thing with Elon, if I may speak on that real quick, is he's breaking the cardinal rule, like, of CEOs. Like, you never, CEO, there's crooked CEOs out there doing all kinds of stuff, but most of the time they're pretty good about not exposing themselves or weighing in on a hot topic. They usually just play the background. Like even like a Michael Jordan, you never hear Michael Jordan come out say anything about anything, and it's kept his name pretty clean. Even when you would think, well, shouldn't he say something about this? Well, he normally opts out of public discourse as a ambassador of his brand, and it keeps him out of trouble. So when I see Elon almost like going off the deep end with all this stuff, it's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, no one had a problem with you maybe 3 years ago. They didn't have a problem. They knew, oh, you're the Tesla guy. I like Teslas. And now you completely changed your public image to like almost to a lot of people a villain. I mean, it is what it is. He's got his fans, but Elon's never been seen like this. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Hell, you never saw Kanye like this. We know he had his issues, but not like this. Yeah. And it's all you can't say it has nothing to do with anybody but themselves. It's all self-inflicted stuff. Like no one told you to get up there and say this stuff.
When you give Alex Jones a reason to pause, something's going on.
Right. So even Alex Jones, hey bro, look in the mirror. You're the one that got yourself sued for $1 billion or whatever it was. Like you didn't have to say that stuff.
Yeah.
You could have just kept that to you and your friends. But, it's like they can't help themselves. I don't know what it is. Because they're not the first billionaires and first CEOs that walk this earth, Oh, yeah. But for some reason, like they're having diarrhea of the mouth right now.
Well, that's food for thought for another discussion. But Alex, how about you, man? What positives this year for you?
Just getting back to the routine of covering cons after a couple of years, not the big ones, San Diego, WonderCon, Star Wars Celebration. It's just getting back into the rhythm of covering conventions, not just being a fan.
Are there the conventions that stand out for you, like in terms of being an attendee and also covering?
Probably. I don't know. It's still hard, even after so many years of running HallH.com. It's still hard balancing being a fan and covering. So I'm still getting used to that balance of doing both at the same time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I guess this year it was a little bit easier since I didn't have that stress of I think I had more of a balance this year being a fan and covering, but hopefully next year I could do more. I like to do more of the coverage part next year.
Yeah, I can sort of relate because even at San Diego Comic-Con, usually I'd have like at least 5 interviews lined up.
Yeah.
4 or 5. But I was just glad to be back, Uh-huh. And if it wasn't for the panel I moderated for Keithan, I would just been happy just being a fan. Just walking around, just taking in the sights.
Mm-hmm. Do you think the COVID break had something to do with that?
Yeah, definitely. Because I think in a lot of the conventions, you see a lot of new vendors that you normally wouldn't see because I don't know if people were still worried about COVID coming and not attending. That opened the doors for new artists, new vendors, things like that. So that was one positive.
Yeah, I really do feel like COVID was a cutoff point from the old world to where we are now. Like we're at the beginning of a whole new era of life on Earth, so to speak. Because we're more conscious. I think people are also coming around to the whole consciousness of the environment now. Like there's a lot of detractors, but I feel like there's less now. People are starting like, hey, maybe there is something going on, So I think, especially with I have kids. Obviously, I look at my daughter and her generation. They're super conscious about the environment, and so I kind of take my lead from her now and kind of respect her thoughts on things because she will remind me if I'm doing something that she considers anti-Earth, so to speak. And, I didn't grow up that way. I mean, obviously we came up in the era of recycling, and we were that first generation of recyclers or whatever. Yeah. But now it's gone up even up another notch, and I feel like now it's becoming a little more immediate. Like there's more of an urgency to doing something about. Which why I was really excited. That's something that excited me recently. The news a couple of days ago about fusion.
Energy. Coal fusion.
Fusion. Fission.
Yeah.
Fusion?
Fusion.
Coal fusion.
Yeah, fusion energy, like, and the possibilities of that really excited me. I was like, wow. Like, that was a big deal to me.
That's a game changer once they ramp that up.
Yeah.
And scale it.
That's some Star Trek stuff right there.
Yeah.
Like, wow. And I mean, I can already see the resistance that's coming from the
big oil companies.
Yeah, the gas and oil companies. But it's like, I made a post on Facebook saying you can't stop change. That's what that post was about. After I saw that report, people thought I was talking about AI. I was like, that's where they took it. I wasn't really talking about AI. I was talking about the fusion thing. Like, oh man.
Yeah, technically, I guess it's called nuclear fusion.
Yeah,
fusion.
Exactly. It's like you have nuclear power. You can do destructive things with it, or you can do positive things with it. So.
Just depends who's using it.
Yeah. But they're saying that it's an endless supply. It comes from hydrogen. So it's like the most abundant thing, according to them, the most abundant thing in the universe. So like,
yeah, it's going to be interesting what they can do in the next. That's probably a few decades.
Yeah, they said it went from like 20 years off to now within the next 10 years that you're going to see this stuff come online. Wow. That's how major of a deal it is.
We'll see what the oil lobby does.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to. But you see, before they were resisting electric cars. Now electric cars are starting to be everywhere, right? And it's not just Tesla anymore. So you can't stop progress. If it's there to be had, And like you said, that's why I say I think COVID was the cut. COVID opened, like you said, COVID opened a lot of doors. And the smart people took advantage of it, where you have the people here, I don't want to wear a mask. While you guys over there crying about a mask, there's people over here innovating and preparing for the new world and taking those slots that you gave up because you're too busy boo-hooing about stuff. You lost your spot.
Anything else, Alex?
No, just looking forward to next year. This year went by pretty quick, actually.
Yeah.
Seemed like it was a fast year.
For me, since during COVID, being laid off and then freelancing for like 2.5 years, it was kind of cool having another job or getting a job as a designer again. So I got hooked up with a pretty good company, Alevo. I'll just give them a shout out. Thanks to DJ for getting me in there. But that's a good company.
Oh, you back to going to?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But the cool thing is that
congrats, bro.
Thank you, man.
I didn't hear about that.
The cool thing is that I can work remotely, and not a lot of people know. But one bad thing about this here is that my dad is going through some things. He suffered through something called a spinal stenosis.
Oh, sorry to hear
which
that.
Is a compression of the spinal cord. So he was pretty much slowly becoming paralyzed. It got to the point where, like, he couldn't hardly move.
There's nothing they can do about it.
Well, they did some surgery to alleviate some of the pressure. So he had spine surgery and then a spinal fusion. So they fused some of his vertebrae together. So anyway, he's recovering from that, and he's slowly making some progress. Like, at least like prior to surgery, which was back in September, like he couldn't even feed himself or comb his hair or brush his teeth. So now he can at least do that much. So he's regained some motor function.
All right.
His walking has gotten a little better, but he's going through some things with that. But so now we're going through some physical therapy. I take him to rehab twice a week. But he had spent like about 20 days in rehab after surgery as an inpatient. Yeah, I mean, it'll probably be like a good year before if we see some really good progress, if there is any more progress at all, because at least he's stable now, and there's no guarantees that he would be able to walk again, without the use of a walker. But he's pretty much in a wheelchair right now, and he can do some steps with his walker every once in a while if he's feeling up to it. But it's going to be long road to recovery.
Right.
So, anyways, what I'm saying is that luckily I found this company that they offered me a position that's I can work from home, and they gave me some flexibility to take my dad to his appointments and his rehab.
Right.
So,
Right.
Because it gives me some time and some ability.
Yeah, I believe those things. I believe in I don't know. I believe like life will work with you in your situation. You always feel like you're on the edge and you're about, oh man, there's no way out of this one. But something will happen to get you through it, make it easier for you to navigate it. If that's what you want.
Yeah. So I've been pretty much on the down low.
Blessed to have that right on time.
Yeah. So I've been pretty much on the down low for like Alex has been going to the events and I haven't been going to, just because I've been helping my mom and my sister take care of my dad. Yeah, it's a challenge some days, but at the same time, he's still motivated to get better.
Yeah.
So, but also with the podcast, it's like, even though we haven't been doing a lot of podcasts this year, there's still people that email me and get in touch and say, hey, I want to come on. So
cool.
That's definitely still a positive. We still have a good reputation out there. And even when it comes to social media, we still share a lot of things to make sure that we promote a lot of people that we know.
Right.
So like yourself.
It's interesting. All the dads in my life are passed now.
Yeah.
Like not just my dad, but it's my biological father died about 2 weeks ago from a heart attack. Didn't really have a relationship with him. I met him a few times, and so I didn't have a real strong connection to him. But
sorry to hear that, man.
He died from a heart attack. Yeah. And then the very next week, my brother's, is it his uncle? His uncle. Yep, his uncle. He died. And then his father died before that. So it's like there is no fathers in our family, our little family. There's no fathers alive other than me and my son. Like other than me, like I'm like, and I had a heart attack last year. So I'm like, that's the way I was going to die, because my biological father died from a heart attack. So I feel like, oh, that's the way I'm going to die, huh? So it's like only the mothers are left now. Like all the fathers, my grandfather's gone, my biological father's gone, my stepdad's gone, my brother's dad is gone, his uncle is gone. Like and I'm like, what the hell's going on? All the men are gone.
Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, I mean, just thinking about that stuff, just my perspective on life has changed, the last few months. With stuff I wasn't thinking about before, I'm definitely thinking about now, especially with my father, how he's going to be in the next couple of years.
How old is he?
He just turned 81.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he's pretty good for life.
But, yeah. So anyway, that's 2022. Let's talk about 2023. What do we got to look forward to? I know you got Black Comix Day 2023 that you're working on.
Yes, Black Comix Day, folks. February 11th through the 12th at World Beat Center, San Diego, in the famous Balboa Park. It's free admission and free parking. Our special guests are going to be Rodney Barnes, the creator of, if you're into comics, the writer and creator of Philadelphia. If you watch HBO Max, he did the show Winning Time on HBO Max. And for Hulu, he did Wu-Tang Clan, American Saga. He also wrote for Everybody Hates Chris. He wrote episodes of Boondocks and a whole bunch of other stuff. And he's doing the Mandalorian comic for Marvel. He's one of the guests. And then we have Kevin Grievous, who is the writer-actor. He wrote Underworld. He also acted in Underworld. He was the big werewolf with the big heavy voice.
Yep.
He wrote a slew, and I didn't even know until I looked at his resume, but he wrote so many comic books I can't even list them all. But he wrote for all the major companies, Marvel, DC, and all of those, Image, all of them, all from Spider-Man to Hulk to X-Men. And then my other special guest is John Jennings, who works for Abrams Publishing, Abrams Books, and the adapter of Octavia Butler's Kendrick and Parables of the Sawyer. The three of them have a horror anthology or something coming out. I can't remember off the top of my head, but that's the common thread between the three of them. They are horror aficionados.
So did you talk to John about maybe getting those two to come with him? Is that how it worked out?
No. I developed a relationship separately between all three of them, but I've known John the longest. Yeah. And I didn't even know they were working on that thing together when I was putting the show together. So it just kind of dovetailed and worked out for me. But yeah, we have two panels. We have one Saturday and Sunday, and our host here, Aaron Nabus, is doing another what do we call it? Empowered panel.
The Empowered panel.
The Empowered panel series that he hosts, and it's going to be about old versus new. Where that panel is going to be about the proliferation, I guess, so to speak, of preferring. What do we prefer? Do we prefer original IP, Black characters as original IP, or do we prefer seeing what's going on currently, where they're taking or they're rewriting the origins of some of these existing characters as black or people of color, actually, taking predominantly white roles and switching it over to a person of color. So there's pros and cons to it, and that's what the panel's going to be about. And then so that's going to be on Saturday. Your panel will be on Saturday as usual, and then the one with Kevin Grievous, Rodney Barnes, and John Jennings will be on Sunday, because Rodney has prior commitments on Saturday.
No speak about panels, and I'm honored that you continually ask me to moderate these panels at Black Comix Day, but obviously I'm not Black, so I mean,
but you're a person of color.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Black Comix Day is not it's a cultural event, so it's not for Black people only show. It's just like people celebrate Cinco de Mayo. We're not all Mexican or Latino, but we still celebrate it. When we celebrate St. Patrick's Day, we're not all Irish, but we celebrate it. So it's the same thing with Black History Month. You're not Black, but you can still learn about the culture, still participate in the activities, and just have a cultural experience. And that's what Black Comix Day is about. It's a focus on Black creators, men and women, in comic books, where you can actually see these people in action, meet them, hear their story, and see their products. And it's just a good time. And this will be the 5th time doing it. And like I said, it's free to the public for all ages. It's kid friendly. We'll have like a video game area or a gaming area for the kids and adults if you want to get involved. And there'll be food on site from the World Beach Center cafeteria, or a bunch of naturally made food.
Yeah, those what do you call those things?
Were they empanadas?
They're sort of like empanadas, but those are pretty good.
Yeah. The veggie burger was really good too. I don't know if you had ordered that. That was really good. So so I'm hoping, and this time we had so many artists who wanted to be part of this show that I have an overflow area. So there'll be a section of artists outside under a tent in the right front of the door in that kind of lobby parking lot area.
Oh, could you do me a favor? Like when it's time for my panel, like can you tell like the airport not to fly any planes during that time?
I'll see what I can do. I'll call up Nick Fury. See what I can do about that. But we are expecting to have a good show, and hopefully all the folks from last year return to this new show, and it should be good again as usual.
Yeah, it's always a show that both me and Alex love,
and for the audience out there, if they want to find out more about Black Comix Day 2023, you can look it up go to eventbrite.com, and in the search field just punch in Black Comix Day, and it should come up. Or you can go to kid-comics.com, which is my personal my company website. And there's a tab called Black Comix Day. You can click on that to get information from there as well. So
cool. I know the year's just beginning, but are there any other like shows that you plan on going to, like maybe in the first quarter of the year?
I go to Comic Fest. I can't think of. I usually just kind of go with the flow of whatever pops up at the time. I don't do a whole lot of shows outside of Black Comix Day and the early part of the year. Most of my show season, the season for shows starts usually in the spring for me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
how about any other projects you got in the horizon besides your work for?
I'm trying to get issue 2. For the fans of Power Nights, I'm the writer creator of the Power Nights, my comic, and I got all the way up to issue 4, and I was going to do issue 5 and end the series, and then I extended it to 6 issues because I couldn't fit it all in 5, and the production work on 5 is actually done, but what I decided to do was I'm going to release it all as a trade paperback. And so, but before I do that, I relaunched this series as a remastered version of it. So I relaunched issue 1 earlier this year with some new scenes. Story's still the same. So if you have issue 1 through 4 already, you're not missing out story wise. But I did add new scenes to flesh out the story, and I recolored the entire book. Has been recolored. So like I said, it's been remastered. With a new cover and everything. And so I want to release, I think up to issue 5 again as single issues. And then for the final chapter, issue 6, I'm going to release that with the trade paperback as one unit. So you get everything as one complete package, and with the whole new issue in there and the conclusion of the story.
So is that the conclusion of the arc, or is that the whole shebang?
Basically the arc. Like it's gonna end where it can continue for if people want it to continue, if there's demand for it to continue. But I do have other things I want to move on to. So it should have been done at least 2 years ago. But because of the way my career has gone, it's just gotten a little difficult for me to just focus on Power Nights.
But what other things do you want to continue to do, or is that keeping that?
I have a I don't know if I want to call it a children's story, but like basically a family story. I plotted out already that I want to do called Landing Party. And Landing Party is basically a story about it's the power. These alien kids basically go around to different planets, throwing parties to resolve conflicts. So it's like, imagine the movie House Party mixed with Star Wars. So I don't want to speak on it too much because I don't want anyone to take the idea, because I think it's a really good idea, and everyone I've told the plot to thought it was really cool. So I'm going to play it close to the vest right now. But it's pretty. It's a pretty cool. Man. Pretty cool story.
Looking forward to it, and I guess we'll have to get you on the podcast again and talk about it when it's out in the wild. How about, let's see. I guess while we're talking about Kid Comics in general, and you're talking about your next story, but where do you see Kid Comics like in the next year or two, or maybe 3 years? My
goal with Kid Comics is to be an entertainment hub for comics and films, but right now comics is the foundation. And what I'm trying to do is get to a point where I can be a producer for other talent. Like I want to be able to go to Comic-Con or just be walking around and see some talented kid. Like, oh man, you have a great idea. I think it will be successful, some money behind it. And I want to be able to finance projects like that. Like I want to be a producer essentially of other talent work. Cause I don't see myself having the energy to sit at the table doing everything myself forever, Yeah. And so, but at the same, I get frustrated when I see great artists with great ideas being bypassed by the mainstream media corporations, and it's like, I don't understand why you guys are sleeping on this guy or this lady, So if I had the power to do something, that would be super cool. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna give you blow a bunch of smoke up your butt and say, well, maybe one day. Like, no, we're gonna do this because I actually believe in you, So
sounds good, man.
Yeah, I'm going to be like the Deion Sanders of comics. I'm going to go to an institute. I'm going to go to some rundown institution and build it up. But stick around.
Yeah. Cool. How about you, Alex? What are you looking forward to in this new year?
Hopefully just maybe trying to attend some different new shows never been to before. And maybe try some new ways to cover those shows.
Which shows? What do you have your eye on?
Like Anime Expo. I've never been to Anime Expo. Anime scene's real big, so hopefully covering that.
We all got to go to the Japanese one in Tokyo. Called Tokyo Con, whatever it's called. Like I have not been to Tokyo. I've been to Osaka a couple of times, but I've never been. I still to this day have not been to Tokyo.
I guess. Well, yeah, it's funny you bring up Japan, but I guess Japan has the biggest comic book market. If you think about it, manga.
Manga and anime.
Yeah, that'd be awesome to go. Yeah. I've been to Japan, but that was only at the airport, so that doesn't count.
Oh, you've only been to the airport?
I've only been to the airport. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes, I recommend going to anyone to go to Japan. It's a good time. Mm-hmm. I had a good time.
Yeah, like Alex, like for for 2023, I definitely want to attend more shows and as Alex said, new shows that we haven't been to before, and continue to grow the podcast, and I guess maybe look at how we can incorporate more video, because I think that's our next evolution. More video interviews or more video content. I guess I need to take some Premiere classes or something. Which just reminds me, earlier.
That's the thing. Like, if I could make a suggestion, like I would love to see you guys do more YouTube stuff, like just more like maybe 15 half hour to 30-minute live video interviews of different artists that I can just pop in while I'm working, and just because that's what I do with like what's those guys? KFab. It's called YouTube channel called KFab.
Never heard.
They're pretty popular. They have, but most of the time, most of their interviews are with established veterans.
Oh, okay.
Not so much newer guys. So I think there's a space for it. And it could be, and I listen to it because they're knowledgeable about what they're talking about, And they don't just interview people, but they'll take popular comics or popular runs and dissect it, like give their thoughts on their first impressions of it, and go kind of do a deep dive into individual issues or series or artists, and then mixed in with live interviews.
Nice. I'll have to check that out. It's called KFAB? Mm-hmm. All right. I heard word.
Ed, the host is Ed Piscopor.
The name sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with Word Balloon?
Are
you familiar with Word Balloon?
I'm pretty sure I've seen it.
Yeah.
Is it called Word Balloon?
I think so. Yeah. That's pretty popular.
Is that it's not Comic Tropes? You know Comic Tropes?
No.
The guy he's another one. He's really good. He does a show called Comic Tropes. He's really good.
Yeah. So, anything else that you want to talk about 2023? I mean, there's a whole year to learn and grow from, but I guess, another thing that I think about, people think about, goals and resolutions, right? I mean, what's one way that people, just generally speaking, when it comes to making their resolutions or goals, that they can help make sure that they stick to it and find success?
What's the way to do it?
Yeah.
What's the way to stick to a resolution?
Yeah, to put them in a position for success,
I think it's like when you really get serious about stop drinking, you'll do it. But a lot of time you have to build up to it. Like you say you're going to do it, but you don't really do it. Or like saying you're going to go to the gym, but you really don't, until you really get fed up with yourself and really like, no, like you have to really, really want it, or be, I don't know how to say it.
I think people are too lofty with their resolutions and goals sometimes. They make it too hard. So they're already putting them in a position to fail. It's like, it's okay to do like simple ones. Like for me, like, even just like, going for a 15-minute walk every day. That sounds easy enough, right? Versus like, I'm going to lose 50 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the people who end up actually sticking to the routines are people who it's their current routine has affected them physically. So it's almost like it's a gun to the head. Like, oh damn, I really need to do something because something happened. There was a ground zero. There was a point that's in their life that something happened that they did to themselves because of their habits. Yeah. That forced them to make a choice.
I think that's what it is. It's getting to that position where you can develop good habits,
Yeah.
Versus like anything really.
Because you're supposed to eat better, right? But if you're not feeling the effects of eating bad, you're not gonna. You might do it for a couple of days and then like,
I'm sure
I get back to it.
It's like with your heart attack. I'm sure you made some changes, right?
Yeah, I actually made. Well, with the heart attack thing, I was diagnosed with the high cholesterol by the doctor, right? So they warned me, and my body was actually warning me, physically warning me, giving me stingers, right? Which I thought were heartburns. I thought I was having heartburns. But I actually did stick to a diet change after I got diagnosed, right? Because they told me, well, they mentioned heart attack. That's all it took for me. What? And I'm so protective of my career. I'm like, no, I got stuff to do. I want to do, right? So that's what's driving, to answer your question, that's what's driving me. It's like, I love my art and the passion I have for it so much that I'm not going to let anything jeopardize it on purpose. So I think that's what's really, that overrides even the health thing. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's not, the health is one thing. Yeah, I want to be alive, but why do I want to be alive? Because it's not, it's tough being alive, right? But I have something that I enjoy and there's some things I want to do and I want to see it realized. So that's the real motivating factor for me to change my diet and to take care of myself better, and then of course my kids, because I still have to raise them. So I have external pressures, not just self-preservation for the hell of it.
Yeah, totally understandable. I mean, that's a lot when you think about it, that's a lot to consider, you know?
Yeah.
I guess going back, like earlier I said that, optimism or optimistic was my favorite word. But I recently learned that I need to be more curious. I think I've been complacent, to some regard.
I saw that post by you.
Yeah.
I didn't completely understand it. I didn't think of you that way. Like, I understand what you're saying, but I didn't see you as a person who was closed-minded or
No, it's not even about being closed-minded. It's just about helping to, especially when, the new year comes around, you think about all these things that, what can I do to be different? So what can I do to improve myself? So, and I think about that stuff a lot. Although recently, just because of my dad's situation, I haven't really took stock in how I can improve myself, just because I've been busy helping him, get by and helping my mom take care of him. So it wasn't until, I had a free weekend and I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have any freelance work or nothing. And I just started to think, and I was like, damn, what can I do to better myself? And it all comes down to mindset. I haven't really, I've been comfortable, sort of. I need to jolt myself into realizing that, there's still a lot of things that I still want to do, and
exercise your mind.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that was just the point of why I said that, curiosity was something that I needed. That's something I needed to be more of, just because, having that self actualization to realize that you're deficient is important, and I'm deficient in being curious.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I get it.
So
for sure.
Anyways, I guess we'll start closing down the show. Is there anything else that we missed? I know there's a lot going on.
Yeah, my PSA for the day. Shout out to the women out there who are women, whether they're artists or just ladies out there in the workforce who are being bombarded by this new crop of men out there who are anti-women.
Yeah.
I don't understand this behavior. I don't know where it's coming from, but there seems to be a sector of men who feel really intimidated by the progress of women or the representation of women, whether it's in movies or books or anything. And they're kind of like they're really raking my nerves right now with this stuff. And the older I get, the more I realize how different of a world that women live in. Just being of the female gender, like in a male dominated world, it's not just job opportunity, but it's physically dangerous at times. What we think of something, the way we go about things and seem nonchalant about, it's completely situation for women, just to walk down the street and there's a pack of men there. There's a bunch of men. You don't know how that could go left real easy, depending on the type of men those guys are. Like you have the man that wants to talk to a woman that may be romantically interested in her. How is he going to approach her, right? And then there's men who might want to be aggressive with her for whatever reasons. And then there's the type of men out there who want to do bodily harm to her because they feel that they physically can do it, right? Mm-hmm. As a man walking down that same street, our only thought is, you might get jumped, but there's indications, but that's only because you might know that you're in the wrong part of the neighborhood or whatever, it's more of a situation you kind of put yourself in, You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas with women, they could be in any benign situation, and any number of those things could happen because of the dynamics between men and women in this world. And I think a lot of men out there think that women are living the same life that they're living and shouldn't have any disadvantages, so to speak. You know, they're complaining about.
Yeah. Also,
why do they get to have this advantage, or why do they get to say this and I can't say that? I mean, they live in a different world from you, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
They just live in a different world, and when you actually grow up one day and understand that, it'll crystallize to you. You'll understand why they may say the things they say or behave the way they say to protect themselves. You know, whether that's mentally or physically. And I just think there's a lot of young men, particularly young men out there, and some of these dudes I know, like it's like you realize you don't understand how stupid you sound, dude. Like, you really, like, you don't understand how ignorant that you're going to wake up one day and look back at the stuff you're saying today and be like, how stupid was I? Even me personally, looking back at some of my older relationships in my younger days, in my 20s, like how much a lot of that's like the stuff that didn't work out, a lot of that was my fault. But at the time, you couldn't tell me that. At the time, I was all emotion and thinking that, no, it's her fault. And why is she acting like this? And blah, 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 blah. And then you get older and reflect on that stuff. Like, oh man, I shouldn't have said that. I didn't think about that. Or I didn't think about the stuff that she was dealing with physically at the time. Or, you understand what I mean?
Yeah. So how can we be better allies for women?
Let them be women. Let them like validate when they're concerned about something, validate it. Like, don't, even if you don't understand it, at least a lot of times people just want to be heard. Just let them talk and say their piece, and then try to project yourself into them and say, okay, if I was in her situation and if I were her, how would I? And be honest, like really be honest with yourself. How would I react? You know, would it be cool if she said that to me? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The same thing I'm saying to her. How would I react? You know, they're not. I think there's a lot of men out there that treat women like they're appliances. You know what I mean? Like you turn them off and on when you're ready to deal with them.
Yeah, they've been listening to Andrew Tate.
And this is not to excuse women from this is not to excuse women from their fallacies. Not at all. But I just think, let's look at history. A lot of the problems in the world are pushed by men, like whether it's war or everyday conflicts and mass shootings. 99% of the time is men, right? Mm-hmm. So it is what it is. And I just think, women are really strong. I think, man, they deal with a lot of shit, you know, on a daily basis, you know. And I think men need to recognize that and not be intimidated by that. Like, women still have the same desires as men. They want love, they want affection, they want to have a good time and the whole nine. But at the same time, they do live in a different world. Mm. And the sooner you realize that, the smoother it'll go for you. Like, you know, sometimes you know, they're not feeling good and they don't want to hear your shit.
Yeah, I mean, like it's amazing how much blowback from men that especially what you're talking about, that She-Hulk got. Yeah, when she was going through, like, you know, she was talking to Bruce, saying like, you know, I go through all these things every day, you know, blah 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 blah. So yeah, it's going back to your point that you know, they go through a lot themselves. Yeah.
I mean, you can look at your own mother. If you really, really look at what the stuff your mom has to do to raise you, to go to a job, to deal with her own husband, all at once, you know, and just a lot of people, you just expect them to do these things, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
And so
I see it every day. The way my mom takes care of my dad. Yeah, you know, she does a lot.
A lot. Yeah. You know, my own wife, I have to keep reminding myself, like, a lot of the reason I'm able to do what I do now is because my wife handles a lot of the behind the scenes stuff with the family, you know. So And I just try to do my part and make sure that there's a balance there so that she doesn't get burned out, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I make sure, like, let me make sure I say thank you for the dinner. Let me take her somewhere. Let me show some type of appreciation for what she's doing for me. You know what I mean? Even though I don't tell her to do anything, she's doing it out of love, right? But and I told her that when I met her, when I met my wife, or when we got married, I was like, don't stop being friends with your friends. Don't do stuff because you think I want you to do it. Be you. I'm not, I can take care of myself at the end of the day. I'm not gonna die if somebody doesn't make me dinner or something like that.
I'm curious. Is that the way you interact with your wife? Is that an innate ability, or do you think you learned that from somebody?
I think it's just a maturing over time.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I ever was like some abusive dude in my past. Like I never beat up on women.
I didn't mean it like that. I'm just saying. I mean, did you have a positive father figure that you sort of saw that behavior from, or?
No, like my biological father, I didn't have a relationship with him, so I didn't grow up with him. My stepfather, we didn't have a tight relationship either, because he was out of the house a lot, being in the Navy and being overseas. So I'm closer to my mom.
Yeah.
So,
something.
I just always had empathy. I think I just always had empathy for people growing up. I never liked bullies.
Yeah,
I think that's the core of it. Like, I don't like bullies. I never did. And most of the fights I've been in were me protecting my brothers from a bully, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think I think that's the DNA of it. And then just being a person of color in America, I think it just plugged me into that vein of like, okay, consider other people's feelings and their pains. If you want people to consider your pains, you got to consider their pains.
Yeah.
I
think it's important. The word empathy. I think now that we're coming out of this, this lockdown and the whole COVID situation, and we're having this 2023 as a new year to sort of start over and help, extend that to all the other things that we do. I think it's important to have empathy toward other people, to see where they're coming from, because I think that'll help everybody in the long run become more successful.
I think I know it. What it is to answer that question.
Yeah.
I think it's self-confidence.
Mm-hmm.
The more you accept yourself and you're not intimidated by other people's talents and other people's situations,
yeah,
the easier it is for you to be friends with other people or allow other people to be themselves.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, even with the LGBT community, like, that's another thing I never had a problem with. Like, even when I was first exposed to it, it was like, oh, okay. It wasn't something that I muled over or like rejected. You know what I mean? Like, it was because I just wasn't raised that way. Like, if you go back home to my core family that's in Memphis, they're a very friendly group of people that we invite all kinds of folks. Like, there's never been any barrier for people to come into our circle. Very
very open.
Open, yeah. You got different personalities, and those different personalities can rub together. But that's just, that's just human emotions, whatever. Some days you're just not in the mood for something or whatever, and a fight might happen, whatever. But in general, there's no prejudices there. Like, I don't have any prejudice toward any race or any sexual orientations or genders. None of that stuff never really was a concern of mine. I just react to it if it's happening to me. You know what I mean? Like, if someone has a beef with me because of race or something I'm doing, then I'll address it at that moment. Or I'll ignore it, whatever. But it's not something I'm going to just premeditatedly attack somebody just based on some stereotypes. I'm going to take you at face value. I mean, I'm going to take you based on your actions. That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't, this whole homophobia or racism, those are foreign concepts to me mentally, you know? So yeah, it's just weird behavior to me. Like, I don't understand, to this day, I don't understand how people wake up with those thoughts to that level. We all have our like generalizations of people because that's how we interact, you know, but to actually like hate somebody that you don't know, that's weird, you know? Dude, I don't know you to get mad at you. Like, where am I supposed to get that energy from? Like, you have to do something to me first, you know? So, yeah.
Cool. I guess on that note, with empathy is our word for this year, right?
Empathy. There you go. Yeah,
I can agree to that. I love that word. I guess people can reach you at kid-comics.com. Kid-comics.com. That's the best way to get a hold of you. I guess we'll start closing out the show. So thank you so much for listening to the Hall H Show podcast, and thanks to our guest and good friend Keithan Jones. Please give him a follow and consider supporting his comic book, The Power Knights, and also the other comic books that he's lending his incredible artistic talents to. Also, if you're in San Diego on February 11th through the 12th, 2023, make sure to come back or come visit Black Comix Day at the World Beach Center at the Balboa Park. It's free, it's all ages, and it'll showcase and celebrate a lot of the indie and mainstream Black comic and pop culture creators, and it'll also inspire the next generation of creators. So, representation matters. And as you know, we love putting the spotlight on independent pop culture creatives like Keithan. If you have a suggestion for a potential guest, please let us know by reaching out to us on social media or by filling out our contact form on our website, hallh.com. If you believe in our mission to be the voice of independent creators, we would appreciate a rating, hopefully 5 stars, and a comment on Apple Podcasts. And please spread the word on social media using the hashtag HallHShow. Peace, cheers, stay safe out there, and Happy New Year's, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year's.